This is Greenland, and this is Africa. On this map, they look almost the same size. Honestly, Africa even looks just a little bigger. If you grew up seeing maps like this, it probably looks totally normal to you. But here's the truth. Africa is 14 times bigger than Greenland. 14 times. That's not a small mistake. That's a massive blunder. And what is even crazier is that this distorted map is the exact one most of us saw every single day in school. On classroom walls, in textbooks, in movies, news graphics, and even documentaries. Pretty much everything we think we know about the world's land comes from this one map. It's called the Mercator Projection, and it's probably the most famous map in the world. On this map, Greenland looks huge. Russia looks endless. Canada and Alaska look gigantic. But Africa? Africa looks normal. And that's the problem. Because once you fix the distortion, everything changes. The entire United States fits inside Africa. China fits too. Even most of Europe can be squeezed in, and you'd still have space left. Africa isn't just big. It's overwhelmingly massive. Greenland, which looks like a giant blob on the Mercator map, is actually only about the size of the Congo, just one country inside Africa. Alaska, another oversized giant on this map, is actually smaller than Libya. So the obvious question is, if this map is so wrong, why is it everywhere? Why did all of us grow up with it? Why do so many people think the world actually looks like this? To answer that, we have to go back to the year 1569. The Mercator Projection was created by a Belgian cartographer named Gerardus Mercator. And here, as the key detail most people don't know, he didn't design this map to teach geography. He designed it for navigation. Back in the 1500s, explorers didn't care about the true size of continents. They cared about directions. If you're sailing across the ocean, you want a map where you can draw a straight line and follow one constant compass direction the whole way. The Mercator map does that perfectly. Any straight line on it represents a constant bearing. For navigation, that's incredible. But there's a trade-off. The farther you move away from the equator, the more the land stretches. Near the poles, the distortion becomes extreme. That's why Greenland and Antarctica look insanely big. Countries near the equator stay relatively accurate. But everything in the north and south gets blown out of proportion. Mercator knew this. He fully understood the distortion. He never intended this map to be used in schools. It was made for sailors, not students. So how did it become the default way we see the world? Again, history. The Mercator map became popular during European exploration and empire building. On this map, Europe looks large, powerful, and central. Britain, which is actually smaller than the U.S. state of Oregon, looks pretty big here. Scandinavia looks big too. Africa, which is far larger than all of them in reality, looks average. Was this deliberate propaganda? Probably not at first. But once this version of the world became the standard, it stuck. And quietly, it created a kind of hierarchy between countries and continents. Another reason is familiarity. When people grow up seeing one image their whole life, anything different feels wrong. Equal area maps look weird at first. Oval maps feel incorrect, not because they are wrong, but because they're unfamiliar. So the Mercator map became normal, and normal slowly turned into truth. The third reason is practicality. The Mercator map is a rectangle. It's easy to print, easy to frame. easy to fit into books, classrooms, and screens. Most alternative projections are oval or complex, which makes them harder to use. But here's the thing. We don't navigate with paper maps anymore. We use GPS, satellites, real-time digital navigation. The original reason for the Mercator projection doesn't apply to everyday life anymore. Yet billions of people still think this map shows reality. And that matters, because maps are not neutral. They don't just show the world. They shape how we think about the world. There are other options. Some projections, like the Gallpeters, show land areas accurately. On those maps, Africa looks huge because in real life it is. The trade-off? Shapes get stretched, especially near the equator. Other maps, like the Robinson projection, try to strike a balance. It's not perfect, but it's not extremely distorted either. That's why National Geographic used it for many years. More recently, National Geographic switched to the Winkle triple projection. It balances size, shape, and distance better than most maps. It's still not perfect, because a perfectly flat map of a round planet is impossible. Something always has to be sacrificed. The real question is, what are you willing to give up? If you're putting a world map on your wall, it shouldn't be misleading. It should show the world as it actually is, not the way a 16th century navigation tool needed it to be. Because when you spend your entire life looking at a map where Africa looks small, where Europe looks massive, where distances are compressed or exaggerated, it changes how you understand global power, population, resources, even the news itself. Greenland is not the size of Africa. It's not even close. And that's why we need to start looking at maps that tell the truth, instead of repeating a mistake we inherited and never questioned. I'll be back soon with another interesting video. Take care. Allah Hafiz.